Let us welcome the fourth speaker of the contest, Ms. Mario Daniel. Her speech title is A Perfect Failure. A Perfect Failure. So, Ms. O'Daniel, would you come up to the stage?
Sure. Thank you, Master of the Ceremony, honorable judges, and audience. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Failure. Not getting what you worked for. Not reaching what you dreamed of. That taste of disappointment is bitter, isn't it? I know that taste well, and last year, I faced a failure I will never forget. My school doesn't have a shigakuryoko, a school trip with all the senior students that marks the last chapter of high school. Can you imagine graduating without it? I couldn't. So I thought, if we don't have it, I'll make it happen. That was the beginning of my 11-month challenge to plan our school trip. I sat down with teachers again and again, trying to answer every concern. I collaborated with the travel agency on budgets and explained the plan to parents. I sent out many Google forms, checked late-night replies, and tried to listen to every voice. Step by step, I shaped the plan. At last, it was ready to present. After 11 months, the day finally came. I stood before the principal and teachers, my heart full of hope. But when their answer came, just one word: no. Everything I had worked for was gone. My mind went blank. I failed. It was devastating. I felt I had let down my classmates and myself. 4 days, I didn't know what to do. I felt defeated. But then, I began to realize something. I still wanted this trip to happen. So I searched desperately for another way, pushing my imagination further than before. With nothing left but my determination, I made a fresh start and came up with a new plan. It wasn't Kyoto or Okinawa as a typical shugakuryoko would have been, but a one-night stay on our campus. Many challenges still stood in the way, but in the end, I finally made it happen last July. Looking back, I felt hopeless. But later, I saw the moment for what it truly was: a single passing point. What finally came together was far from the ideal I once imagined. Even so, turning that first failure into success gave me real confidence and a deep, unforgettable sense of accomplishment. It became one of the most meaningful lessons in my 17 years, not only because I learned something from failure, but because I endured, rebuilt, and grew stronger through it. In education, there's a term for this: productive failure. It means that struggling and failing first can lead to deeper, more lasting learning. And persevering after failure taught me 2 essential strengths: grit, the power to keep going no matter how hard it gets, and resilience, the strength to rise each time we fall. They are the forces that carry us through life. Life doesn't always go the way we plan. And when it doesn't, we face the same question: do we treat it as the end when it doesn't have to be? That is why grit and resilience matter. People with these strengths know that when they stumble, when their plans don't work out, it doesn't have to be the end. So, how do we build these strengths? Do we learn them from textbooks? Or are they taught to us? When I reflect on my own journey, the answer becomes clear. They are built through experience. But in schools today, we are given little chance to develop these strengths. We devote years to preparing for one decisive result. An entrance exam, a final grade, a single milestone. And when that moment comes, it is judged simply as success or failure, with no sense that failure could be part of the learning process. So, what do you think happens when we grow up in that kind of system? When young people enter society without ever building these strengths, failure often feels like an ending. And when that happens, the courage to try again fades away. We see it around us. Students who stop going to school, who shut themselves away, who lose their sense of purpose. And for some, it leads to something far worse. Both a Cabinet Office survey and a recent OECD study shows that many Japanese high school students avoid new challenges for fear of failure. Without chances to turn failure into learning, failure stays as just that, and it turns challenges into threats. That is why I want to say this clearly. Failure is not permanent. It's a passing stage we can rise from. And the truth is, failure is not optional. Failure will come to all of us, and we can't see how the pieces of failure fit together while we are living through them. But when we look back, those pieces reveal the path that was always taking shape. That path is built on many failures along the way. We have to trust that every failure is a step towards the future we can't yet see. Because success is not something achieved in one try. It is a masterpiece shaped by layers of failure. As Albert Einstein said, failure is success in progress. We all fail, we all fall, but we must be willing to stand up again with the lessons learned. That is how we keep moving forward. Not the trip I first imagined, but the night I will never forget. Not the end of a dream, but the beginning of a new journey. A perfect failure. A passage into what comes next. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel. Now we'll have a question and answer session. Mr. Iboshi, please.
Okay, good afternoon, Mari-san.
Good afternoon.
How do you feel right now?
Relieved that I finished my speech.
Okay, but you finally did your great job, and I really like your enthusiasm.
Thank you.
Okay, so my first question, why do you think your teachers rejected your plan?
So there was multiple reasons that my plans got rejected. The first reason was about the budgets. The budgets were too high for the parents to pay or for students to go. And the second thing was that for teachers to go take a day off and take us to somewhere besides around the school, it has a lot of paperwork to do, or they have to pay extra money to the teachers. So I think those caused why my plan was rejected.
Okay, so looking back then, would you change anything about how you handled the situation?
Yes, I think I would, because that is what I learned from failure. And I would change about how we would plan things, how we would see things in a way that teachers would see, not just what we wanted to do, but what is realistic and what is not realistic.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so listening to your speech, it's very important to have grit and resilience. So in what ways do you think schools can better support students in building grit and resilience?
I think they need opportunity to, for example, work on projects like I did. For example, the trip was a big project that I worked on. And that builds grit is built through sticking on to long-term goal even when it's hard. And I think hard projects or difficult projects would train students to train grit, and letting them, even if it's not successful, if it's a failure, letting them try again and giving them another chance would help them build strength, build resilience.
Okay, thank you. Although your dream would not necessarily be realized as you imagined, but you finally did a one-night stay in school. So how was your reaction? What was your reaction of teachers and friends or classmates?
So when I told them that the plan was rejected, we can't go to Kyoto, they were like, I don't want to go anymore. I don't think that one night stay is enough and it's not gonna be fun. But I tried, and of course the teachers were supportive of my decision to continue on making the trip happen. But students, my classmates were not as happy and they were disappointed in me that I couldn't make the trip happen. But as I approached them and listened to their opinions and figure out what they wanted to do and what would make them happy, I think that made my trip a success.
Okay, time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Igoshi and Ms. Odenyo. Now we'll have the judging time.